Hello and welcome to Handmade by Julia Quinn and my Monday morning 10 o'clock Facebook Live. So far so good. I kept it up for a couple of weeks. This is my card I'd like to share with you today. I shared this on my blog last night and I just wanted to show you how the step-by-step about how I created my card here. And I also am trying to make a few more masculine cards because they are tricky. This one actually I created for my brother. And then when I finished creating it, I liked it so much I grabbed him another one out of my stash so I could keep this and play with it and keep creating the same idea. Okay, so my card base, that's my scratch paper. Card base is just Mossy Meadow, so it's just a standard card. I often love to do fancy folds and whatnot, but this time I just opted for a standard card. And I've got two pieces of crumb cake for the inside and the front, and I'm just going to shock horror tear the edge there on both of them, ripping the thin strip towards myself so that I get that. You can sort of see the tear lines a bit more on that side than the other side, so that's on my strategy. Another way you can tear cards too that I've seen people do is to use a water painter to just draw a line, and it will help you tear a card well too. Okay, so I'll just pop those two on my card ready to go. One for the front. Now they're the same length as the card. And one for inside. So then we can get on with the business of the actual creation of the image, which is what I'm sure you'd love to see. Okay, so I've got my two panels, one for inside and one for the front. I'll just get my scratch paper in here. Now as you can see, I've sponged using my blending brushes as well to create, and also stamped and watercolored. So there's a lot going on with this one. So the stamp sets I've used for the stamping at the front, I've got ocean front just for those little weeds and bits and pieces. I've used sending a card instead of a text for my inside greeting, and I originally did want to add this happy birthday, but when I added it, it covered up too much of my image, so I changed the happy birthday to the little one from Turtle Friends. And then here's the main image. This actually was a stamp set that was given to us by Stampin' Up, who are so incredibly generous in giving to us. And it was one I possibly would not have purchased for myself, although it is very beautiful, just because I wasn't sure how to use it. And for a long time I had this image stamped and sitting on my desk waiting for me to do something with it, because I just really wasn't sure what to do with it. So I'm going to stamp it with Pale Papaya, because from the very original I wanted to make it look a bit like a sunset. Sort of look a bit more like a bushfire, but look a bit like a sunset. Okay, and then stamp that on my card there. And then you can see you've got that lovely watery outside silhouette with the white tree on the inside. Just wash my stamp there. And then comes the magic. So I have used Old Olive for my leaves. And let's pop those out of the way. Squeezed my re-inker into the lid of my ink pad so that I don't dilute the actual ink in the ink pad, and I don't need much really at all. And I've got my water painter, which I've just refilled with water, and then give it a squeeze and dilute all of that ink now to the watery. So the more ink I put in, the darker the colour will be. The more water I will, it will be more watery. So I'm just going to add Now because these are leaves on a tree, you can be fairly, you don't have to be particularly precise. Okay, I'm leaving little bits of white. So this is my first layer, just adding where I think the leaves will be, leaving some space where the branches would be for when I colour it with the crumb cake. And it dries a little bit lighter than when you paint. Now I'm just going by the trees we have around here. We have a lot of gum trees around here, which is why Old Olive is my choice of colour, because it reflects very similarly to the colour of the trees we have here. Okay, so that's my first layer, and then I've gone a little bit darker, starting from the top again, and gone sort of under the shadow a bit. Oh, that's pretty dark, isn't it? Just to add a little bit more depth, and kept all my edges nice and not too straight, so that actually creates that look of foliage. It's a easy way to make yourself look very, very artistic, just adding a little bit of water and ink to an image. How's that look? I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, just clean off my water brush there, and then I'll come in with the crumb cake for the trunk of the tree. Once again, add one little drop to the lid of my ink pad, and lay down one layer first of ink, and then I'll come back with a little bit darker, as I did with the Old Olive. Okay, right, and then a little bit darker on my brush, and just come in on one side. Now I've used my finest tip water brush for this. It's actually my favourite for all watercolouring. I just find it easier, unless I'm doing full backgrounds, then I use the widest one. The poor middle-sized water brush must feel incredibly neglected by me, because this is my favourite. There we go, done. Now, not precise, I'm going with the whole artistic vibe here. Alright, now, so that's that bit done. Now I'll do my fill-in stamping to create an image from my, and for my card, just to give it a bit more realistic look. And once again, with the Old Olive, I'll stamp some grassy pieces in varying heights in my foreground. Okay, and while I'm at it, a little bit for my inside panel as well. Okay, that's enough of that. These, the ocean front stamp set, and also we've had a few over the time that have these lovely little elements that really make it easy to layer gorgeous imagery and realism to your projects. Okay. we go. Oh, add another one there. Okay, so that's the old olive and the oceanfront stamp set, and I'm going to use the crumb cake. I'll pop these two back while I'm here, and I'm going to use this little stony looking piece on the crumb cake for a bit more depth in my, just to there we go, and then a little bit here as well, just so that those grasses don't look like they're just appearing out of the blue. There we go. So that looks pretty cool. The last thing I'm going to do, just check that that's everything, is add some colour to the edges. Now when I did this, I think I used Daffodil Delight last time, but I'm going to try it with crushed curry this time. Now, with any blending, start off your page first and then just come in. It's better to add a little to begin with and then build up your colour. Okay, oh, that's a bit deep there, wasn't it? Okay, off the edge. Rightio. Now we need to blend it a little bit with that silhouette. So I'm going to use some papaya, but just before I do that, I'll add a little bit of colour to the edge of my writing panel for the inside of the card. There we go. Some papaya. Okay, just shush off the excess ink off my blending brush there, and then add a little bit of papaya to the edges as well, just to give it a bit of depth. There we go, that's probably enough for the inside panel. Now this one, let's try and meet up the colour of that silhouette with the sponging that's around, so it doesn't look quite. So I love layering colours with the blending brush. It just gives it so much more depth and intensity when you use more than one colour. I'm happily blending away. And a bit more up there. Okay. How did we go? Still looks pretty, but it's not bad. Alright. Pop that away. I'll just clean up my blending brush there a little bit so that I can again use it for my yellow tones next time. Okay, and the last thing to do is to stamp my happy birthday from Turtle Friends. Using the old olive again. Old olive, good old favourite old olive. I've got a very, very small piece here. It just fits. And don't you love photopolymer where you can line them up well? And sending a card instead of a text for the inside panel. go. I think guys would like that greeting. I don't know why. I just think they would. Okay, let's put the card together. And I'll show you the little finishing touch, the gorgeous pebbles. Okay, 1, 2, pop this right on the edge there. My happy birthday. 1, 2. A little piece of mossy meadow. And the beauty of having a greeting like this is you can put it wherever you think there's been a mistake or something you want to cover up. So I'll just pop that there. I actually used this layout with inspiration from the Celebration catalogue. If you check out my blog post, you'll see where the inspiration came from for the layout for this card. And then the final piece is one of these gorgeous enamel pebble shapes which come with the ocean front suite. I'll just pop a couple of them on the front down there. One more bunch. There we go. My card is complete. I hope you, looking at these, I think I need to add a bit more ink to my tree because as it's dried it's lost all that texture it had before. So there's something for me to do later on. Bye bye now. Thanks, Lynette.